The following live stream has been approved for restricted audiences only. It will definitely contain strong language and maybe some adult themes. Almost certainly. Viewer inebriation is advised.
Good evening, happy Friday, and welcome back to Last Call, where tonight we are continuing our globe-trotting voyage to the Nordic countries of Scandinavia. Yes, the home of the Vikings. And no, I don't mean Minnesota. I mean Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Iceland. Countries that have contributed to cinema more than you realize. And tonight, we welcome subject matter expert Jacen Fawkes, the founder and owner of FiveFourtyStudio, to bring a little Nordic perspective to our conversation and help us fill out our list of films to see. So top off your glasses, get your pens ready to write down all the movies you'll want to be seeing, and let me know in the chat what you're sipping on. The Canarble Wagon rolls right now.
Last Call is streamed before a live audience.
There you go. Vasalud, welcome. Good to see all my friends. Certainly appreciate every single one of you coming in and saying hi, because, it's Friday night. And for some of us, this is our Friday night. So super appreciate every single one of you. Love to know what you're sipping on in the chat. Please let me know in the Martini Gallery there. As for me, in case you hadn't guessed,
release the Kraken.
Release the Kraken! The Kraken!
Why is the rum always gone?
Why is the rum always gone? Well, maybe you didn't buy me a drink. And if you want to buy me a drink and keep me stocked in Kraken rum, the link is right there at the top to buy me a drink. Or if you want to buy a drink for my lovely bouncer and partner in life, the most beautiful netter of Netters Network, because let's face it, she's got to live with me. She deserves a drink or two. You can buy her a drink by using the same link and just saying, yeah, this one's for Netter. Or, for my designated driver, I'm sure he occasionally imbibes when it's not Friday, and he doesn't have to make sure that I close the stream out safely. You could always, say this one's for Boomer, and I'll figure out a way to get that to him. But either way, the link's right up there at the top. And speaking of the lovely, lovely Netter, let's get her in here. Lovely and talented Netter of Netters Network, how you doing, my dear? And what are you sipping on, as if I did not already know?
Well, first of all, lovely and talented is somebody else's title. I prefer not to have that one.
But you are lovely and you are talented. Just saying.
Yes, but please don't call me that.
Okay, I won't call you that anymore. I'll come up with something else. There's plenty of other things.
You have to. Like I said, that particular title belongs to someone else, and no, that gets bad images.
That is fair.
Well, first of all, I am drinking a really lovely Riesling.
Yeah.
And because I'm a cheap date, wait, what's the price tag on there, sweetie?
$11.97, but we got it for half price. So I think it was like $5.
Oh, well, you got it. Fill me up.
It's Schmidt Saune? I don't know. I can't read accent.
And the reason I got it is the color of the bottle. But I also like Riesling. Stop. That's enough.
Yeah, it is a nice blue. Oh man, it actually looks really cool in the light. I have no reason to believe this is a Scandinavian wine at all, but it's just what we got for her.
Yeah. And of course, for Valentine's Day, if you look at the card over her shoulder, now you're gonna have to take me out.
I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go full Troyster here.
Yeah, go full
Happy
Troy.
Valentine's Day from the best decision you ever made. It's absolutely true. I didn't say this to her. I'm saying it right now, though. I got a little misty on that one. I was like, yep, best decision I ever made. Absolutely the truth. No doubt about that. But amen. There we go. So, yep, happy Valentine's Day, sweetie. We celebrated that yesterday over on your channel. as we were watching a selection of Valentine-related peanuts.
Yes, there was. We got a bonus one in.
Yeah, I don't even remember what the titles were. Like,
I know one was like "Be My Valentine, Charlie
Be My
Brown."
Valentine, Charlie Brown. It's Valentine's, Charlie Brown, or something like that.
But there were 3 of them, so
And,
we got a bonus one in yesterday.
Something
that
like
was a lot of fun to watch. Because one of them I had never seen.
Yeah,
but it's funny because
there's actually 2 more. We'll watch those next.
Yep, Charlie Brown's obsession with the little redhead girl is like Troy's obsession with me. Only he doesn't call me the little blonde-haired girl. He actually knows my name.
The little blonde-haired girl, and addressing letters to the little redhead.
Yeah, you would think that if you had a crush on someone, you'd find out their name.
You would think.
Which you do find out eventually, and her name is Heather.
Yes. Which could mean she's one of the mean girls. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that is what we did last night. Let's not keep my designated driver waiting. Aged Boomer, how are you doing, my friend? And what are you sipping on?
I'm doing all right. I'm sipping on a Coca-Cola. This is also simultaneously streaming on my channel.
Yes.
So if you're listening to me, but you're lonely because no one's in the chat, you can drop over.
You can always come on over to me. We are.
I forgot to do that. I'm going to set that up now.
We are. Yeah, go ahead. I'm assuming you can do that.
Yeah, why not?
I don't know.
I did that when on Deleted Scenes New Year's one.
I was going to say, otherwise you can try it and let me know how that works. Yes, we are streaming on Boomer's
it's experiment,
YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, and on my Twitter page. So
and after I get this set up,
you may very well be watching this on Twitter. And if you are watching me on Twitter, I can't see any comments you make in the Martini Gallery. So sorry.
Are they your little olives?
Yeah, little olives, exactly. And I'm sorry. What did you say you were sipping on, Agent Boomer?
I got a Coca-Cola. It's a pity. I was too busy with schoolwork. I would have loved to have joined you for that peanut stream, but I do know that Valentine's Day special you're talking about. That's where Linus buys the big box of chocolates for his teacher.
Yes,
he has a crush on her, and then finds out.
Yeah.
What? And then what does he finds out? She has a fiance or a boyfriend.
And I'm telling you, there's so many things about those Valentine's specials that I'm like, the adult parody kind of writes itself.
Oh my word!
Wow.
I want to know what Sally is going to look like as an adult. I bet she'd be really hot or something, right?
Probably.
Her
Probably.
Years. But it's like he has the box of chocolates and he gets all angry and he starts, "This is for Valentine. This is for love." And and he keeps throwing them over the bridge and it's like this big powerful moment, and then you see Snoopy and Woodstock eating the chocolate,
Of
just
course,
completely destroying his
I pointed out on the stream, all of this stuff hits very differently for adults because I'm watching this going, chocolate can kill a dog, I
know. Well, maybe once in a blue moon, but
fair enough.
I love that special though, just because this is kind of the moment where Linus is kind of a loser. And I was thinking you could have given that box of chocolates to Sally and she wouldn't have known any better, right?
I was thinking he could give it to his mom, be sweet.
Or mom. Yeah, mom. Why not?
I don't know. I mean, I get having a crush on a teacher, but when your teachers sound like, a stifled trumpet, I don't know. So real quick, let's say hi to the Martini Gallery, starting with the hostess with the mostest, Lady Mist. You are awesome. She was first one in, greeting everyone with the little flowers and the emojis. Thank you so much, JPRPH1. Keeper of the Void is what exactly right. So true. CK. Greetings. Good to see you. CK's got a couple of new videos up of his superhero story, so make sure you go check that out. PJ of Orville Nation. Howdy. Hey, Troy and friends. Good to see. And then he went away from keyboard, so I'm guessing he might be back by now. Matanui, hi. Good to see you, my friend. Salute. Deleted Scenes. Good to see you. Hey, Keely Chow. Good to see you, my friend. Yes, and CK was AFK for a little while too, so there we go. Jesse Guajardo, hello to everyone. Kapla, Admiral. Good evening, everyone. Sipping on homemade lemonade with a bit of pomegranate juice added.
That sounds good.
Lovely. This derelict here, howdy. This is where you hang on Friday nights. Yes, exactly. Have a great stream tonight talking about the films from your homeland of Sweden. Well, thank you very much, Big Al of Big Al Presents. We will be hanging out with we will be hanging out with you tomorrow on Netters Network for a very special Valentine's Day showing of Deadpool. Yep.
Big Al is Swedish ancestry?
I guess so. I didn't know that myself, but
he's Swedish.
Yes. Bork.
I made the joke if you could have the Swedish chef as
I thought about that.
Yeah. On here.
Cry havoc and release the Kraken. Thank you, David. Yes, absolutely. That's what we're doing tonight. I'm already feeling all warm. In fact, is the heater still on? Let's get that turned off. Should have turned that off before we started. Connie Cleary, hail to the chat. Thank you to the wonderful bird woman of YouTube. Let's see. Sir Torin Clegane. Hello. Good to see you, my friend. Kraken. Yes, it is. It's one of those nights. Diet Mountain Lion for Big Al. Mr. Laudell's Groovy Movies. Hip hip hurrah and tally ho. Welcome. Let's see. I want to make sure I don't miss anybody there. I'm hoping maybe there will come a day where, it's just going to be, guys, you're going to have to start dropping super chats because there's so many people here. I just can't keep up. Disney Sheepherder, welcome, my friend. Good to see you.
How's that? Look at my avatar.
There
you go. The chef.
I was thinking for you more Swedish bikini team, but that's fine too. And of course, Nate with Geek Flag. Nate knows 1973. Welcome, my friend. Okay, we are caught up. So we were to have had a guest tonight, Jacen Fawkes of
Something Studios.
Something Studios, yeah. Well, he's not here, so he would remind me if he was here.
FiveFourtyStudio.
540.
Yes.
Link in the description. You could certainly subscribe to him. We will have him back some other night. Maybe we will do a Scandinavian films part 2 or something. But tonight, we're going to wing it with the films that we have seen. Evelyn's saying that the chat seems to be frozen even after rebooting.
It's working for me.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that.
Hold on. It could be because this is the stream coming on my end. I think that's where Evelyn, where you are.
Could be, and that's the other thing too. If you are watching, if you are watching in YouTube, you are not going to be seeing any comments that are on YouTube. Excuse me. You will not. If you are in Boomer's stream, you will not see the comments that are on my stream. And if you are in my stream, you will not see the comments that are in Boomer's stream.
And you won't see the ones on my stream.
And same with Nutter and so forth. So you're only seeing. I see them all because I'm in StreamYard. It's one of the shortcomings of the YouTubes. So that might be what you are experiencing.
Yeah, because I'm trying to say hi to folks, and it's like, okay, why are they not coming up? It's because you're on somebody else's stream or the other part of the simulcast.
Yeah. You guys should probably be making your comments here in StreamYard because that goes out to everybody. Of course, when you do, it will show up in StreamYard like 4 times or something like that. But that's not how it's going out to the world, so don't worry about it. It's just a quirk of StreamYard. Yeah, see, we're learning this stuff.
We're learning. This is a simulcast stream.
It absolutely. We're getting more and more experience with this. How we
come in
do this.
handy one day if we talk to some big timers, right? Maybe we'll see.
Boomers was recommended to me first, so here I am. There you go.
Welcome, Samuel Proctor.
And
I'll try to keep an eye on things on my side.
The important thing is that you are subscribed to everyone on the panel. and everyone that you can subscribe to who is in the chat, including LDG, Free the Nut. Well, that's hashtag Free the Nut, so maybe go check out your socials for Free the Nut. Welcome, my friend. Thank you so much for being here. And as I was saying, please subscribe to everybody who's here, especially those that are the wait staff, which other channels call the Blue Wrenches, and everyone who's on the panel. All of those people are linked below in the description. Otherwise, you guys can look each other up and subscribe to each other. That would be awesome, because that's really what this is about, is growing the community. In a world where entertainment is all about, hating the fans and castigating them and telling them that they are all, istophobes and whatnot, I do exactly the opposite. I acknowledge the fact that I would not have a show if it weren't for all of you guys here in the Martini Gallery. You come out and encourage me every week. You keep encouraging me, I'll keep doing this thing, So
See, I thought you were going to say, in a world where you can be a dragon, be a dragon. Or Batman.
You're right. Or as Trey from Max World Entertainment always says, in a world where you can be anything,
be kind.
Be kind. Absolutely. So, speaking of someone who wasn't always kind, but was always who always spoke his mind, and you can't help but respect that. I want to the best quote that I could find that pretty much sums up the topic for tonight comes from Roger Ebert in a review that he did May 9th of 2012 before he left this mortal coil. He said, "Why has Scandinavia been producing such good thrillers? Maybe because their filmmakers can't afford millions for CGI and must rely on cheap elements like, stories and characters." So I actually want to read you that article. It is from RogerEbert.com, of course, entitled, "He Picked the Wrong Guy to Cross." Again, this is Roger Ebert from May 9th of 2012. "It's not often a thriller keeps me wound up as well as Headhunters did. I knew I was being manipulated and didn't care. It was a pleasure to see how well it was being done. Unlike too many thrillers that depended on stunts, special effects, and queasy cam," not sure what that is, but I'm sure he knew. "It's the plot where it matters what happens, not all kinetic energy. It's from Norway. And here's the quote, why has Scandinavia been producing such good thrillers? Maybe it's because their filmmakers can't afford millions for CGI and must rely on cheaper elements like, stories and characters. Headhunters deserves comparison with The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Insomnia, and Let the Right One In." Spoilers, we'll be talking about those movies too later on. At its center is an everyman, Roger Brown, who is an executive headhunter. While interviewing and in this context, headhunter, is the modern business world colloquialism for somebody who finds talent for jobs.
Right.
While interviewing job candidates, he learns information that's invaluable in his second job as an art thief. He needs the money and tells us why. He's keenly aware that he stands 5'6" and is married to Diana, a statuesque blonde. Hey.
Well, you're the top.
Well, whatever. Yeah, you're petite. You fit well. On her, he lavishes expensive gifts and a luxury lifestyle, and even sets her up with her own art gallery. He doesn't believe she could love him for himself. Brown is a smooth-talking type with the cool nerve necessary to enter homes and replace valuable paintings with deceptive reproductions. At a gallery opening, Diana introduces him to a new client, Klaas Grief. This man looks like trouble. Tall, chiseled, confident. He has just resigned as CEO of a multinational, and Brown would like to recruit him for a revival firm. He's persuasive. He won't stop until the man agrees to lunch. Grieve, as it turns out, inherited a Rubens from his grandmother. Perfect. Brown can place him with the firm and steal his painting. But when he learns the devastating news that Diana and Klaus have been having an affair, he sabotages the job offer. Klaus Grief is not a man you want to cross. Trained as a military commando, survivor of Bolivian torture, fiercely proud, he wants revenge. He's the sort of villain that a thriller needs, intelligent and remorseless. Not a gimmick character, but an impeccable enemy. Enough about the plot. What Headhunters has done skillfully is enlist our sympathy with Roger Brown and our interest in Klaus Grief. They're not simply plot markers. And Diana is not simply a trophy blonde, but warm and nice. Considering she's cheating on her husband, okay, we'll give it to him. He saw the movie, I didn't. And if she had an affair, well, so did Roger with Lottie. Okay, well, that was information you withheld. Who he treated with disturbing callousness. He's seen Klaus in a dressing room, his muscular back crisscrossed with whip marks. We know, and Roger knows, he means business. Headhunters then opens up into a long, punishing chase as Klaus tracks Roger across Norway in a series of increasingly perilous situations. The short man proves courageous and resilient and can think quickly. His method for hiding is in an outhouse from Roger, and his dog is admirably practical. It's incredible he hangs onto his life. I can imagine how this goes. Yes, this follows thriller formulas. What is important is that it has the unfaked weight of reality. No fancy effects, but flesh and blood and real locations. Even though the film helpfully explains a few things in its closing scenes, it's unlikely you'll be able to follow the plot step by step. It's a labyrinth of double crosses and deceptions. Roger doesn't know who he can trust, and neither do we. The director has a gift for visual shock and reveals. Everything can change in a single edit. By the way, I have purposely overstepped the director's name and the actors' names because I would just butcher them and it would be pointless. Headhunters is like an argument for the kind of thrillers I miss. It entertains with story elements in which the scares evolve from human behavior. Pure action is boring. Chase scenes are boring unless you devise one as Headhunter does, with a shaky farm tractor. Sex scenes can even be boring unless there is the illusion that the partners care. Headhunters plays fair. Again, that was from Roger Ebert back in I believe that was 2012.
Okay.
So, Headhunters. Have not seen it. Now I definitely want to see it. The article I just read from, I would not have put up the picture because I am presuming that this is from immediately after hiding in the latrine. And it's not a picture I but anyway, that is our first one for the night. Real quick, I just jumped back into StreamYard and I see that Real Walden Nation Gaming Clips has stopped in, and welcome, my friend. It's so good to see you. And wow, sex scenes are boring. Well, Jesse, think about it. It eventually gets to a point where you see them and you go, oh, here we go again. Right? You know, how can you do something different in a sex scene? Really? I mean, you know, especially with all the adult entertainment all over the interwebs, you know, your dramatic sex scenes are meh, you know. So but I think Ebert's absolutely right. You care because you care about the characters. And I think that what he's, and this was why I wanted to share this particular article, was just in reading the article, I I think he kind of summarizes a through line for all of these movies we're going to talk about. Practical effects. They're not CGI heavy. I think everything, at least from the movies I've seen, everything is done in camera. And it's all about the writing, the acting, the dialogue. You care about these characters. And remember, for most of these, the dialogue is not in English. You're going to be reading subtitles. Well, depending on how you're watching it, you can get a dub, but I encourage subtitles. You want to, as much as possible, get the original acting and voice. I mean, even if you don't understand and you have to read the dialogue yourself, you get the intonation. You're getting the acting. You're losing like 75% of the acting by not hearing the actor's voice.
Yes, and on Retro Cinema, I will be having a couple of dubbed films. One of them will be King of Mass. Another will be Il Postino. And both of them will be dubbed. One is Italian, so we're going to have the subtitles. The other one is Chinese and will be dubbed. Or will have the subtitles, And both are excellent films and won many awards.
So, Doris, again, how can you do anything new with sex scenes? Have them do it upside down? James Bond, Moonraker. Already done it.
Louis Childs.
I feel like 99% of fight scenes are boring too, unless you're someone like Jackie Chan who finds new ways to present ideas. Or I would argue those Netflix Daredevil and Punisher series. Go back and take a look at the hallway fight from the first season of Daredevil. That was good. Kind of hard to top that. If you have an actual writer writing your script, you don't need sex scenes. I'll tell you what. Mr. Lundell makes an excellent point, and you can call this the Alfred Hitchcock effect. You could call it the Spielberg effect, but you can apply it to the sex scene, right? Yes. Spielberg said, and this was an accident on his part, when he did Jaws, he had originally intended the shark to be seen more, but we all know that the animatronics, the robotic shark it failed more often than not. So most of the scenes had to be scrapped. So what did you get? You got moving through the water scenes, seeing the water from, eye level, a lot of stuff from the shark's point of view, a lot of underwater stuff, the music that was John Williams, wasn't it?
Yes, that was John Williams.
Yeah, that was John Williams. So, all of those things put the shark in your head. You create the shark yourself,
It's anticipation.
Exactly. Alfred Hitchcock, right? You don't need to see the knife entering the body. You see, the outline, you hear the ee, you see the scream, you see the chocolate syrup. Seriously, chocolate syrup going down the drain. Your mind draws in all the rest. And it was an incredible thing because if you interviewed people coming out of the cinema after having seen Psycho, they would tell you, oh my gosh, it was the most disturbing, horrific, violent scene you've ever seen. And then you go and you see it and you're like, if you're objective about it, you go, did they see the same movie? Because now you're looking at it to see if what they said is accurate. But if you had no preconceived notion, you would probably draw some of the same conclusions in your head. The Stranger Knocks, excellent 60s Danish art house movie, was on public TV once, but I haven't seen it since. Delayed U.S. release because of 2 sex scenes fully clothed. Interesting. Well, it was the 60s, I guess. But I wanted to relate this to the sex scene, right? How many older films do you remember where you get all the romance, all the buildup, all the what do you call it? All the titillation leading up to it, right?
Yeah.
only for them to go into the bedroom, close the door, leaving you outside. You got to imagine what's happening, right?
To be fair,
Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, if you watch movies like the Postman rings twice or always rings twice, you know they're having an affair, but they don't show them doing the deed, but an adult would be able to infer.
Exactly.
what's happening.
All you're hearing is the bed springs squeaking.
Yep. There was a movie, it was a pre-code film that Netter and I saw. It was one of those, considered to be totally scandalous. And the reason it was scandalous was there was subject matter in there pertaining to, and all of it is implied. If you're paying attention, it's there, but they never say anything overtly. Prostitution, premarital sex, babies out of wedlock, all this kind of stuff. And it's very interesting because Netter and I are watching this movie, and she's like, is she pregnant? Have they had sex? Not sure. And then it turns out, yeah, she's pregnant, which kind of retroactively lets you know, yeah, they were having sex, but up until that point, you didn't know because you never actually saw it. It was implied, you never actually saw it. But again, it requires all that, that build up, the foreplay, so to speak, Although when it comes to modern movies that claim they have no CGI and practical effects, a ton of them have actually turned out to be half-truths. I'll tell you, I'll put it another way, Samuel Proctor, and I keep saying this about Jurassic Park. A lot of people, when asked, what movie had the best CG, they oftentimes refer to Jurassic Park, not realizing that many, many, many of the scenes in Jurassic Park were not CG. They were, puppets, animatronics, trick effects, in-camera effects, they only use CG when they absolutely had to. And that is, it's like you learn in shop class, the right tool for the right job. You don't want to drive a screw with a hammer, you don't want to, whatever, you don't cut a glass pane with a ball peen, whatever. And it's the same thing. And the best CG is the one that the audience doesn't even realize was CG, I mean, getting back to the sex part, right? Modern films, what is the one that everyone, 50 Shades of Grey, and all the other, right?
Just talking about the title gives me nightmares because your mother told me she watched it.
Yeah. That's bad. She wanted me to get her a copy of it.
Like, no, this is my mother-in-law. You ick. No,
so 50 Shades of Grey, for whatever reason,
which we have not seen and we don't want to see.
There's an unrated version too,
Whatever.
Is that 50 Shades of kind of off-white?
I've not seen it.
But of course, Dakota Madam Webb is the female lead in that movie, and for whatever reason, the director decided that it was absolutely necessary that in her profile, her body profile, lying on the bed, you needed to see a little tuft of hair. So there was some poor CG artist that had to go in and put a merkin on the actress. Wow. And yes, most people would not even realize it was CG. Most people would wonder why the fuck they went to the trouble of putting a CGI merkin on an actress, but what the hell ever. Yeah, I know. More information than you need, but it's kind of the negative comparison to these movies.
So I have a question though. Scandinavia, that's what we're talking about, right? What countries are encompassing this breadth of films you have? It's Norway, Sweden,
Denmark, Finland,
Iceland, maybe Iceland.
Some consider Iceland, yes, as well.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, yes.
But let's see. That's what Spielberg said to Lucas: "Put your head in the shark. What could happen?" He ended up regretting it. Yeah, absolutely. The only thing one can do with sex is either tease it's going to happen or imply that it did happen. That pretty much sums it up, Jesse. That's a great way to put it. I've only seen that happen in anime. Yeah, it's probably.
Now I'm thinking of the sex scene in Grindhouse Planet Terror. Have you seen Planet Terror?
I have, yes.
You know the part I'm talking about where the screen gets all messed up and it's the management apologizes for the loss of the scene. Exactly. And then, of course, the whole real, like, all this horrible stuff happened between them. It's real what you're seeing in the next
Exactly.
scene.
I love that.
Hilarious.
That's very cheeky. Hilarious. I love it. And, I only seen this happen in anime. I mean, there's some stuff that happens in anime that you don't want depicted too carefully. Go check out Michael French of Retro Blasting's deep dive on Evangelion. There's some stuff in that movie that just knowing it exists bothers me. Oh, sorry, Netter.
What?
I'm going to turn my wife into a wino.
At any rate, what did I want to mention, though? But that's the thing. Sometimes when you watch a movie or a TV show from another culture, you're going to see some things like, well, we don't do that in our country. You kind of have to roll with it.
Yeah.
And realize that your morals or your norms may not be practiced in other countries, and just deal with it. And just
there are things about going back to Japan. There are some Japanese cultural things that are just whatever for them, that for us is like, that's just freaking weird.
Okay, here's a good one. We've been watching a series called Marry My Husband. It's a South Korean film.
Yeah.
And they seem to have this big thing about touching other people. Like, you should not touch anyone. It's like this big taboo or something. So, like, holding someone's hand is like a really huge deal. And
which is great for the establishment of characters and relationships. So they establish early on, oh yeah, you shouldn't touch, that's wrong, even being in a crowded elevator, I can't touch you.
Yeah, it's like one of the big things in this is that when they're getting in the elevator in the morning, it's like everybody and their brother's trying to push into this thing. So it is literally jam-packed. You have no choice to be squashed up against someone. And there's one scene where this guy is squashed up against this girl and trying not to touch her, and he's being physically affected because she's really beautiful. And she's trying not to laugh because he's obviously very affected. And you just hear him like making sound like, because, he doesn't want to touch her because it's taboo.
And I don't think I said hi to Lady V earlier. I'm not sure. I'm at that point. I'm starting to get fuzzy from the Kraken. So if I say hi to you twice, that's just because I want to make sure I don't miss anybody. But T-Rex was a guy in a suit. I wouldn't be surprised if some of those scenes weren't. Absolutely. I know that the Velociraptors kind of were. If they weren't a guy in a suit, they were partials, like the legs being worked as puppets, the head being worked as a puppet outside the door and so forth, and things like that. I just saw a thing about how they made the raptors in the... Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. They were suits, and the CG was used to remove the parts of the performer that weren't hidden by the costume. I thought that was real cool. Exactly right. When you and that is the kind of CG you cannot tell, because it has to do with compositing, right? First, you get a hold of, you lock down your camera, right, for the scene. You get the room and the background and everything with nothing in it. Then when the actor comes through, then that's digitized and it's overlaid with, they overlay the background shot. And then when you paint out the actor, he's completely gone, and the background, I do it in Photoshop all the time on individual pictures. These guys have to do it like an animation on every single cell. It's pretty amazing. And now they're starting to get computers that can do it automatically. You do it once, you teach the program what you're doing, and it does it for all the subsequent ones. It's getting better and better. But those kinds of scenes, you look at it and you don't even know that there was CG involved. You just think, wow, this is, or you might think
CG when you don't realize it was there, right?
Exactly. Or you think that whole Velociraptor is CG, and it's like, nope, that was a practical effect. What was CG was what they took out. Let's see. Anytime someone in my house mentions 50 Shades of Grey, I do my impression of Gilbert Gottfried reading the. Oh, I heard about that, and let's face it, I can imagine, And they found his room full of toys. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I haven't seen 50 Shades of Grey, and I'm probably not going to watch it because no, shut up about the movie. Yeah, my mother talked to me way too much about it, and she thought it was, really well written, these characters, and, the psychological blah, blah, blah. Like, this is fan fiction based on Twilight.
Twilight had enough problems with it.
I know. Fan fiction of Twilight. Okay, Mom. Whatever. I have nothing to say about it.
Don't judge.
I get Troy oi 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 and Netter gets hugs. Okay.
Yes,
I see how
because
it is.
I'm loved.
Yes, you are. I'm feeling a little less than loved, but
hey, I gave you a Valentine.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying I'm feeling a little less than loved by Lady V, but that's okay.
Did you get him a giant cookie?
We looked at giant cookies in the grocery store, and I've come to realize that when it comes to sweets,
I got him Hotchkiss.
She got me the
Apple
Bismarck
and Bavarian cream.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds nice.
The thing about sweets though is a little goes a long way, and you think big cookie, yum. I would end up having a little tiny piece of it, and the rest would go stale.
Yes, I understand.
That CG was Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Stands up to any of the movies made today. Yeah.
That movie still looks great. It looks good. Just the regular shots in that movie look good. I mean,
I'm getting caught up. So you're probably way ahead of me in the chat.
Look at Lady V's last comment.
Okay.
It's Geek Play Nay at the bottom, and then Lady V is right above it.
Raffle, Troy, oi.
Breaks my frozen heart.
Yeah, right. Thank you. The real question is why they adopted this book that was basically born into a big screen movie. You're not wrong, man.
You have your answer.
60 Shades of Porn now. Yeah, exactly. And I do kind of feel like this is the kind of thing that probably would have translated as porn better. Just saying, you don't need great actors for a movie like this. Let's see. 50, 60, whatever, Mananui. It doesn't matter. Let's see. Stan Winston and his team did amazing job bringing to life monsters, aliens, and dinosaurs. I agree. Prefer monster movies with guys in suits. Too many CGI movies are set at night in a pouring rainstorm. Screen so dark. Yeah. And why do they do that? To gloss over all the sins of CG, Have you seen the footage of the advanced stop motion dinos they were originally going to do? No. Go ahead. That sounds interesting.
I need to look for that. That might have been neat. They say actually RoboCop 2, if you watch that is some of those advanced like stop motion animation scenes.
But that stop motion actually made it into the film. Yeah. Good stuff. Not a fan of Twilight? No, then you would definitely not be a fan of the inferior fan film called 50 Shades of Grey. But anyway, as long as we are on the Twilight thing, maybe I will just jump real quick to one that Ebert mentioned, and I'm not going to have the extent of discussion that Ebert did for that first one. But I'm going to talk about one that he brought up, It was called Let the Right One In from 2008.
Yes. I've heard of this.
It is a combination Sweden, Norway, French film, but it was filmed in Sweden. The story is about a boy named Oscar, an overlooked and bullied boy, finds love and revenge through Ellie, a beautiful but peculiar girl. And I love the fact they want to the synopsis wants to keep the spoilers out of the film, but as I think everybody here, even if you haven't seen the film, knows, the girl is a vampire, which is where the illusion, letting the right one in. They can't come in without an invitation, but this is a story about a little girl who is a vampire, and very much like, what's her name, Claudia. Is it Claudia from Interview with a
Vampire? Maybe, yeah, I think so. Yeah,
a little girl who becomes a vampire. She may have been a vampire from an early age, but she is now hundreds of years old. So she has, an adult's mind in the body of a child, and she every now and again needs a new, let's just call it a Renfield, a non-vampire to care for her. And when the adult caregiver gets too old, okay, you're done, and then she moves on to a new child who she can befriend, groom, I think there's no other way to say it, into a caretaker that can be like a brother, boyfriend, whatever, until he starts to grow up, and then he becomes like a father until he's too old, and then the whole cycle starts all over again. Very, very complicated story, as you would imagine. Unlike so many other vampire films that kind of gloss over the dead bodies that are found, this one is, revolves around law enforcement doing an investigation, trying to find the serial killer, and completely misunderstanding the reason that they keep finding all these bodies that have been butchered as if, by a butcher, hung up, so the blood drains out and stuff. And where's all the blood? Yeah. And, it's an interesting story. And then as they start to, put pieces together, how the situation resolves and continues, and don't want to give away the ending, but definitely want to suggest it. Now, saw the can't remember which one I saw first. I can't remember if I saw the original first or the American remake.
I've seen the American remake.
Yeah, I have both on DVD, in a custom 2-disc case that I do. I am not. I think I probably saw the American version first, and then when I saw the original version, I was like, this is absolutely the superior one. And there's a couple of films in this list that are like that.
We'll get to the one I have. Yeah.
Yeah, they are the original films, are the Scandinavian film, and it turns out that they absolutely are better films. So if you feel you must, see the American version first, so you know basically what the story is, then see the much better version and go, yep, this is the good one.
Now, the reason why you get American versions of these movies is because basically they want an English language version. That's what the market is, and the reasoning is behind that. If a movie,
which would be fine if they. I think if you're going to do that route, then you need to do what they did with that remake of Psycho, which made no sense. It was an American movie, English language version, being remade shot for shot in English.
Yes.
The only difference is new actors, and it's in color.
Okay.
Whoop-de-freaking do. Why did they bother?
Can I talk a little bit about this? I don't want to bring us off track. Ty West brought it up in his on the Trailers from Hell series on YouTube, but Ty West, he's a horror director. He brought up that Psycho was the Psycho remake was fascinating because it was a great film experiment. If you were to make the same movie again and almost shot for shot redo it, would it be still as good as the original? And it said no, because there's just something about the way Hitchcock made that movie. There's something that he did that made the original version so much better.
That is a very expensive experiment, though. That's the kind of thing you do in film school. That is not the kind of thing you do for general audience.
Had a good cast, the remake, I'll say that.
It did.
I actually liked William H. Macy as the snooping
I absolutely agree. There was that was the one thing that probably elevates it.
And
I did
Vaughn
not
probably
mind
the best actor they could have gotten for Norman Bates at that time, I think, maybe. But
I did not really have a problem with Vince Vaughn. Here's my problem. They did change more than just making it in color with different actors.
Yeah, they added the scene with him looking through the people.
Through the window, and yeah. And,
it's a minor extra scene.
Another example of things that should be left unshown, okay? And that in and of itself kind of ruins it, right? And I think you get a lot of that in the remake of Let the Right One In. I think the American version was called Let Me In. Yes. So they even changed the title.
Yes.
But there's a lot of elements that are changed. And that is the big problem. If you're doing it just to change the language, then follow the Psycho formula. Do it shot for shot to the best of your ability and pay attention to the directing. There shouldn't be any other changes except the language. But honestly, why bother for just the language? Just give me subtitles. Or if you really freaking have to, because people are too lazy to read, dub the damn thing. But, yeah.
Well, the thing is, one thing I've noticed too in some of these countries, I forgot what the name of the movie was, but there was one movie about an exploration team was based on a real case. A real story. And I watched it in English, and then I found out, well, no, this was a foreign language movie. I said, but this was not a dub. And I realized that I think what they did was this movie was shot both in English and in, I don't know, it might have been a Norwegian language too, or like Iceland or something. And they shot it in both languages. They just had the actors speak English in one scene and the other language in another, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of the movie, though. Sorry. I'll
Lady V says Dakota Johnson looks drugged and cognitively challenged in all of her roles. I'm not going to say that that's not accurate. I don't know what she does and where her mind might be, but I would also say go back and watch some of her mom's earlier films. I think there's just some mannerisms that are the same, but I don't disagree with you. That is a very good description. From my understanding, Steven Spielberg had been watching every Go Motion clip of dinosaurs walking cycle, but it still had its limits. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I didn't think the little girl from Let the Right One In was 100. Okay, yeah, I don't know. She's definitely older than a little girl. She's at least a couple generations old. So she's got to be at least 100 years old, right? Because she has been through, unless I'm mistaken, this is at least her second, maybe her third caregiver at the beginning of the film, and the child is becoming her new one. So we're talking at least a couple lifetimes there. So definitely more experience. But what's very key, Nate, is that she continues to behave like a child. But this child actress, who actually might be a little older than the character or the image of the character that she portrays, does it in a very clever way so that you kind of get the impression that, yeah, sometimes she comes off as a child, but in a very unnatural, very too adult kind of way, in that kind of creepy way. Kind of like I'm kind of hoping to see Alia in Dune 2. We'll see, fingers crossed. Rumor has it they might go a completely different route with it, and I'm very, very worried about that. I can't do the names. Hasn't been home to the assassins for 3 centuries. Who will greet me there? Are we welcome there? I fear a horde of Templars there. Is that from Let the Right One In, or is that from Interview with the Vampire?
Or is it from Assassin's Creed? I don't know. I'm kidding.
Let the Right One In. Excellent film. Never bothered with the remake. Probably for the best. Deleted scenes. Not saying it's bad. It's just I never bothered. It wasn't bad, but why bother when there's a better one?
Well, you know what used to happen.
Watch the right one is what I'm saying.
You know what sometimes happened too when Hollywood got the rights to a popular foreign film. Sometimes they would stall the release of the foreign film in the United States, so you would go see the remake. This happened too. A couple times. I know this happened with Ring. Remember the movie The Ring? That was a remake of a Japanese horror movie, and
very good movie.
We had to wait
very
to
different
see that officially over here. Yeah.
To the extent that it's almost completely different stories. I would say watch them both, because it's like watching two completely different movies. You know. But Samuel Proctor, and we've talked about this before too, talks about how Todd Browning, would film during the daytime the Bela Lugosi Dracula, and then the Spanish version was done on the exact same sets in the evening. And to this day, a lot of people still believe the Spanish version is the superior version. Not to take anything away from Bela Lugosi. Hitchcock did something similar with The Man Who Knew Too Much. Yep, absolutely. The new digital software, it makes the Go motion dinosaur clips look more clean. Yeah, that's true. These days you can use the large language, generative AIs to smooth out, those jerky elements. I think there's a certain charm to stop motion animation. I think the best example is the skeletons in the Sinbad movies. They're meant to be a little bit jerky. You would expect them to be. You don't want them to be too smooth. In fact, when they did the mummies in The Mummy, they did an homage to Sinbad and the skeletons in the fight scene, and they purposely tried to reproduce that jerkiness of the mummies, like the skeletons, and I appreciate that. That was intelligent and clever. Same thing can be said for Yoda in the prequels, which was all CG, but in the first release of The Phantom Menace, he looked very wrong. And when the feedback came in, George Lucas went back and he was like, yeah, this is the problem. The original Yoda was a puppet. This is CG. So they literally went back and redid the scenes from the first movie. The special edition was immediate for the Phantom Menace. They went back to square one with the animation, and they digitized it as though there was a hand inside the puppet, and they put flop in the ears, and they did all the things as if it was a puppet, which kind of makes me think you should have just made it a damn puppet, but whatever.
It's interesting. No, I think it's interesting you bring that up, because I think in the original release of Phantom Menace, he actually was a puppet. Later on, Lucas then replaced him with a CG version, and that's when people were complaining about. Because I noticed when Attack of the Clones came out, he was also the CG version. But I think in the original thing after running, they were still using a puppet, and then later on, Lucas did what George Lucas does, and he went in and removed the puppet from Phantom Menace and put the CG version in. I think.
Maybe, Nate, you misunderstood me. I was saying that the original Swedish version is the superior one. Watch that and skip the American version. I think we're in agreement on that, if I'm reading your comment right. But it was The Ring and the Japanese Ringu that I was saying watch them both, because they are completely different movies.
Hello.
Very much having remake have different names than the original makes it less confusing. Yeah, I was kind of thinking that as I was saying it. You make a good point there. Also, as a side note for stop motion filmmakers' techniques is that by the 70s or 80s, stop motion had undergone a revolution that would later be referred to as go motion. Yeah, and a lot of that I personally believe is because of the stop motion animators in Empire Strikes Back with the Tauntauns and the AT-ATs and so forth, and the steady cams and the motion tracking that was pretty much created by LucasArts, Lucasfilm, whatever. Anyway, we should probably get moving along here. You just walked into an out of context Assassin's Creed quote. Okay, yeah, so Boomer got it right. Okay, didn't know that. And Matanui's heading out. Take care, Matanui. Thanks so much for being here. And the lovely Six. I'm here for a hug from Netter. See, everybody wants to get hugs from Netter. Nobody wants to give Troy a hug.
It's because I'm cute.
That's okay. You absolutely are cute. Yeah, let's face it. I mean, I don't think there's any debate here. She's absolutely better looking than I am. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, just look at my avatar.
Yeah, that's a smoking avatar. Let's be honest there. Okay, so that was Let the Right One In. Let me real quick go to my notes. That was one of the movies that Ebert mentioned. The other was a film from Norway, 1997, Insomnia. Now I'm going to read the summary, but I have not seen the movie, so I am going to rely on someone who has seen it to tell us a little bit more about it. So in a Norwegian city with a 24-hour daylight cycle, a Swedish murder investigator has been brought in on a special case. Sleep deprived, he makes a horrible mistake, which is discovered by the killer he has been hunting. Just to explain, I assume 24-hour daylight cycle, so this is probably taking place during the, give me a second here, let me get this right, summer months? Is it in the summer or the winter where you get in northern latitudes, you get long daylight hours, in some cases 24 hours.
Like Russia.
Well, like northern Siberia, yeah, and
Alaska too.
Alaska yes. Does that too, and Norway. So can you tell us a little bit more about that one, Boomer?
Yeah, I want to bring this one up because this was another one where I saw the American version first.
Sure.
The American version was directed by Christopher Nolan. And I think maybe it was on Ebert and Roper back in the day. And I think they recommended to go watch the original as well, because they did like the Nolan version, but they also recommend you watch the original. Criterion had it in their collection, and I remember them recommending it, so I picked it up. Criterion DVD of this. Bit different than the American version. This one, of course, takes place in a town located above the Arctic Circle. It's a Norwegian thriller film. It stars, hold on a second, Stellan Skarsgård. Some of you may recognize him from as the Emperor in the Christopher Nolan Dune movies. Interesting, now he's in a Nolan movie.
Yeah.
And he's also in the Thor movies. You may have seen him in Hollywood Fair. But no, he was doing plenty of stuff even before them. But I guess he was playing the role of the Al Pacino character in the original version. What the big difference is between this and the Nolan version is that how can I put this? The copy plays in this version of Insomnia. I get the feeling that the Pacino cop had a little bit of redeeming qualities. Like he almost seems like he wants to be caught for something he did. Do you understand? Yeah. Whereas the Stellan Skarsgård cop, no, he's kind of has his own dark side in this too. And they're chasing, of course, they're both chasing a killer. What is fascinating, though, if you watch this and the American version, Robin Williams is, of course, revealed as the one doing the killings, right? And he plays this very, how would I describe this type of character? Like middle-aged, kind of creeper vibe, maybe a little heavy set, lives alone or lives with his mom or something like that. And the funny thing is he resembles the actor they had in the original Norwegian version. They both have a very similar look, which I thought was odd. I'm like, wow, this guy looks like a Norwegian Robin Williams. And that's what I was thinking when I was watching the original version. Both are worth seeing. I do prefer the Norwegian version though, because like I said, it had the guts to make the lead, the cop, less redeemable. I'll say this, okay. I'm going to say this. I think here in the West, like at least in the United States, we tend not to like to do movies about. I mean, we like in Europe, you'll actually have movies about bad men being the main characters. You understand, like not heroic types as your main characters, and you see this in other countries too. I think Japan will do it sometimes as well, but you don't see that as often in the United States. Or even if it is a bad person, they'll usually get a comeuppance in the end, right?
Right.
Because they did
At least
something
that's the way
wrong.
it used to be. Now the villains are the heroes, and they have a tragic backstory to explain it. And
well, they don't do that in these movies either. No, they're usually just I mean, I won't say his character is completely evil, but he has some shady sides to him. Hold on, can you hear me still?
Oh, at least I get a high five from Six. Thanks so much, Six. You're sweet.
You get my love.
I got you. Well, yeah, and that's really all I need, right?
Love.
But aren't we sappy?
Yeah. So is this another one where you would recommend the Scandinavian over, or are they so different that maybe you should see?
No, they're very close, and I do think the Norwegian version's better. I did want to say I think Nolan did his best to make a good movie, a good remake out of this. So it is still it's Christopher Nolan. It's still a good remake. The only trouble is, like I said, I almost feel like Hollywood interfered a little bit with the Pacino character. His character is the character of the cop in the American remake is a bit different. I do understand though they said in Alaska, because that would be our version of this part of the world where you have daylight all the time, right? So
yeah.
That would be the equivalent.
It's weird because in let's see, winter we're pointed away from the sun, so it's almost always night. And in the summertime, the northern hemisphere is pointed towards the sun, so you end up in those northern latitudes with daylight all the time. And if you're far enough south, the difference between noon and morning and evening is just, the sun is just right at the horizon. You never get dark. You get almost a little bit of twilight, but not quite. There was the opposite of this. I want to say it was 30 Days of Night or something like that. It was a vampire movie that takes place in like Nome, Alaska or something like that. And it was the same kind of thing, but in the wintertime, where it's night for a whole season. So the vampires just come out and, kill the whole town, and then
I saw that one. Yeah, I saw that one.
So the idea, but then again, the opposite in the summertime, when you have sunlight all the time, it really throws off people's circadian rhythms, and they end up with insomnia. They can't sleep.
Well, yeah, because you sleep at night.
Exactly.
It's like when you're sleeping in the morning and the sun starts creeping in the windows, you're going to start waking up whether you want to or not.
And I don't care if you went to bed at 4:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock, the sun comes up, you're awake.
Yeah.
And it sucks. Now, the way to combat that, of course, is those blackout
curtains,
but it doesn't truly help. Right?
You still sort
of
know.
Still knows.
Yes.
Right? Because, I mean, you're not aware of it consciously, but like there's light creeping in from the hallway, the other room. And
you know what helps actually is rainy days. Like if it's a bad storm and it's very dark, that actually is better than.
Are you not the type that if it's the middle of summer and it's a rainy day and it's been raining all day and it cools off just a little bit, you could just sleep all day. You could just sleep all darn day.
I've done that.
Oh, can I? Yeah, can
all 13 of. Okay, so that makes me feel so much better. All 13 of your personalities love me, so
I'm going to mention something else about insomnia. It might be a little bit of a spoiler, so tune out, but it doesn't spoil the end. It's just something that happens at the beginning. The lead cop in the movie who's hunting down the serial killer, who I guess is killing young girls or something. He's under investigation for corruption, and I think the guy who's helping him do the search is going to expose him to the authorities. Like he knows he's going to expose him.
Right.
While they're out hunting for the killer, they're doing it in fog, and somebody comes out at him, and he thinks it's the killer, and it's actually the guy who was going to testify, and he shoots him.
Ooh.
I don't think he did it on purpose. He did it by accident. But the thing is that this is very convenient, and he blames it on the killer and not himself because he knows how it's going to look. This guy was going to testify against me, and he's conveniently shot. So he still played it to being a killer. So, of course, in the American version, I feel like it's more like justice has to be served for this corrupt cop, and there still has to be some redemption or something. And not in the Norwegian version, no.
Interesting.
You know,
Interesting. There you go.
Yeah.
So the final film that Ebert mentioned was, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard about the American version, but it was a remake. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo from 2009. It was Sweden, Denmark, Germany, and Norway.
Wait a minute, there have been versions in all those countries?
No. All those countries were involved in the making. It's hard to say it was, you know, a Swedish film or a Denmark film.
Actually, part of a 3-book series.
Yes.
And it was fantastic the way that they went from book 1, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, to the second book to the third book and tied it all together.
Yeah.
I love this. And then they made the movie based on the 3 books. They did a decent job, actually. It was one of those ones where I didn't hate the movie because it's like, usually when you watch a movie after reading the books, you're like, no, that didn't happen. And that didn't happen till this, this time. So why are they showing it at the beginning of the film and da-da-da, like Twilight? Because I read all the books for that. And then I saw the first film and I was like, no, none of that happened. And that didn't happen to the 4th book. And what the heck is that?
Interesting.
Yeah, but The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
But you're talking about the American films, right?
Mine were subtitles.
No,
the one I saw was subtitles.
Yeah, I guess the Swedish films, right?
But the books were phenomenal, and they transformed it into a film really well. So I highly recommend read the books first and then watch the movie, and you will see that it ties in so well. Now, the film wasn't as graphic as some of the descriptions in the books, but it was still really nicely done. Yeah, I think you guys would enjoy it. It's one of my favorite films. It's one of my favorite book series.
I've said this many times. There are some things that cannot be translated. The medium that you choose to tell your story in is important. There are things in Dune. There are things in Interview with a Vampire that you just cannot translate to film. They need to be written and described, and they should not be. Actually, I would even say Stephen King's It has some scenes in it that you do not want translated to film.
Actually, apparently there were 6 books in the series, and I haven't read all of them. So it was The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, The Girl Who Played with Fire, The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest. Those are the 3 that I had. There's also The Girl in the Spider's Web, The Girl Who Takes an Eye for an Eye, and The Girl Who Lived Twice. That's also part of the series.
So that sounds very interesting. You could have a whole franchise there if you did it right.
The thing is, the guy's dead.
Here's what happened. I did read the first book, and then I watched the David Fincher movie. I still haven't watched the Swedish versions. They said that this was an example of Netflix destroying something at the box office because all the Swedish movies were all on Netflix at the time that the David Fincher, the American version, the English version, came out in theaters, and they were thinking people just stayed home and watched the Swedish versions, which had what's the name of the actress that was in the Swedish version? She's been in a lot of American movies too. She was in Prometheus. I can't think of her name off of the top of my head, but she was in the Swedish versions, and it's interesting. I should probably watch the Swedish versions. I meant to read more books in that series. I just haven't gotten to it yet. And Netta, you're right. The lead author did die. I don't know after which book he died. I know that somebody else took over the series for him, and I don't know if he was basing the books on the guy's notes or what he'd heard he had planned.
Yeah, after I think the third book, Stig Larsson had passed.
You're right. Yes.
The main character is Lisbeth Salander. And,
Lisbeth Salander, yes.
The actress was Noomi Rapace.
Yes, Rapace, yes. And she's been in a lot of American movies. She was in the Sherlock Holmes Game of Shadows movie too. But they had
is that the princess from what's it called? Hellraiser, isn't she?
Oh, I don't know.
No, I guess not.
Okay.
She was in Prometheus.
Steve had died in 2004, and I'm trying to see when and it looks, from what I'm reading on here, it looks like the books were published after he passed, starting in 2005, when he died suddenly of a heart attack. Then the books started being released. And so I was wrong that he died after they were released. But it looks like after he died, they started releasing his books.
Wow.
Right.
Wow,
Okay.
that's amazing.
Yeah, I
But,
believe it's the Millennium trilogy based off of the newspaper in the series called Millennium. I think that was the name of it.
Yeah, right. Millennium was like the book trilogy of the first three, and then The Girl in the Spider's Web and the other two were not written by him. They were kind of like, they put his name on them, but he didn't write them.
I saw the Girl in the Spider's Web movie, which I'm sorry, I did not care for that one. But again, I don't know how closely it followed the book, or maybe it was its own thing. I was getting a vibe, because I think that's the one where you find out Elizabeth Salander had a sister, and I was getting the whole Frozen thing, like this was Elsa or something, but she was like an evil Elsa. Just no.
You see, I only saw the first film. I didn't know there was another one.
Here's the problem. You're talking about the American version, right? David Fincher did the first one, and I actually thought it turned out rather well. I forgot who was in it. Was it Kate Mara or Rumi Mara? I think it was Rumi was in it as the lead, and then Daniel Craig was in it as the reporter gentleman from the series.
So
yeah.
So just so people are not thinking I'm completely off my rocker, which no doubt I absolutely am. I was confusing her with Valentina Vargas, who played Angelique in Hellraiser Bloodlines. Just so you know what I was confused about. They look very, very similar.
But I should seek out that original Swedish trilogy. But I should probably read the books first. I need to finish the other ones too. But
you have no excuse. You're right there in the library. They're probably sitting there right on a shelf.
Oh, they're very popular. They were very popular. Right now I'm on the Bond books, though.
Oh, that's fair. That is fair.
I just finished From Russia with Love. I don't even want to say.
Absolutely.
I'll talk about that if we ever do a Bond
we
stream.
We are eventually going to get to our James Bond.
I can't believe he ended it like that. I don't even want to spoil the ending, but oh my word. To be living when that book came out.
So just to sum up, just specifically the girl with the dragon tattoo, a journalist is aided by a young female hacker in his search for a killer of a woman who has been dead for 40 years. So it's another one of those hard-boiled detective stories, but with a modern,
except the detective
slant.
case that are interesting, because one is a reporter and one is she's like a genius hacker, right?
Yeah.
The other things, yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's I find that very compelling. But that is one in a series of. So there you go. You have a whole franchise there to look into.
Yeah, what bugs me is when I find a great series and then find out that the author died. So now I can't get any more of this greatness.
Give us a few years, we'll be saying the same thing about Game of Ice and Fire. Because let's face it, we know the Fat Man is not going to survive long enough for winter to come.
You're more likely to get the books out if he dies than when he's alive, because they'll get somebody else to finish up.
Someone else will finish them, absolutely.
Yeah, because I grew up with Irma Bombeck. I don't know if any of y'all know who she is, but she was she always injected humor into all of her writings, and I loved her, any book that I could find on her. I love those books because she just sounds so human, and how we all screw up and make mistakes, but she makes them funny. And when she passed, it's like, I can't get any more of this, because she was such a great writer. Like I said, so human, where you can relate totally to anything she was talking about. Whenever she tripped over the dog and spilled the spaghetti all over the kids and stuff, you can relate to that. Like how, whoever doesn't have a dog or who has a dog, I'm sure you've tripped over your dog at some point, or you tripped over your cat, or because they get in your way. and you've spilled something or broken something, and she just makes it funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like really great. And then you find a series like this, it's like, oh, I can't get anymore because he died. You know?
And you can get whoever takes over for him, and you're just going to go, it's not the same.
Yeah, you don't have the same flavor in the book. There's not the same feeling in it. And you're like, yeah, this was written by somebody else. You can tell because it's not the same. You can feel it's not the same.
Mr. Torrance says, I have a feeling he's going to outlive us all. Speaking of J.R.R. Martin. And honestly, you're probably right, but that doesn't mean we're ever going to see The Winds of Winter. He's going to outlive us all, and we'll still never see The Winds of Winter. But what I was going to say about that is, for example, with Song of Ice and Fire, with even Star Wars, there comes a point where you feel like the author is no longer the author. You know,
Yeah.
They've lost the heart for it. They're not telling as good a story. A lot of people will say, you know, Lucas did his trilogy, and then when he went back and he did the Phantom Menace, you know, the prequels, it was, right? And everyone's saying, well, maybe it's about time he hands off the reign. Now, I'm not saying the reins should be handed to anyone that they've been handed to. Maybe Jon Favreau, if he was allowed to friggin' do it, if this was still in George Lucas's hands and George said to John, yeah, go ahead and do this thing and I'll be here as your consultant, we'd have had some pretty damn good Star Wars. Sometimes new blood that is passionate but cares about. I think Denis Villeneuve is doing a great job with his interpretation of Dune, just like Peter Jackson did with The Lord of the Rings. You know.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Can I want to recommend an author to Netter, though. I've not read him myself, but people sing his praises. He's a Norwegian writer who writes these hard, like, kind of darker mystery series. He's called Joe Nesbo. Have you heard of him?
Nesbo,
No.
How do you spell that?
Nesbo, Joe Nesbo. He created the detective Harry Hole.
Oh.
There's
Check
also
him out.
Harry, and it's written by a Norwegian author. They did make an American movie out of it called The Snowman, which is notorious for being awful, but I'm sure the book series is fine. Okay.
Bless you, Netter, and good night, Nate. Thanks for hanging out with us as long as you did.
But and the author is not dead yet. He's still writing books in the series. The last one came out in 2023.
Like, anyone that really knows me knows that I love books. And when I find a book series I really like or an author I really like, I will get everything that they have. Like Lillian Jackson Braun, I have all the Cat Who series.
She'll sometimes see a book in a store in the bargain bin and go, I don't think I have this. And then she'll get home and she goes, oh, I read this book already.
Or, now I got 3 copies.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I end up donating 2 of them.
There you go.
But you might like this series. That's all I'm saying. I've known people who've recommended them to me. So yeah.
Now I've kind of been, no pun intended, based on the subject matter, but we've been all around the world, and I am just now getting to, of all the stories here, the first Scandinavian film on my list that I'd ever seen, and it's a movie called Troll Hunter from 2010. Tell
me about this one.
Yeah. So the synopsis is a group of students investigate a series of mysterious bear killings, but learn that there are much more dangerous things going on. They start to follow a mysterious hunter, learning that he's actually a troll hunter. Now, I've heard people describe this alternately as a found footage film or as a mockumentary film. It's either way, it's got that kind of quality to it. But what's very fascinating about it is that it really digs into the Norwegian folklore of the troll. Now, if you are and the reason I first saw this movie, it was recommended to me by someone in my Dungeons and Dragons group, who we were talking about where the monsters, the primary monsters and races in D&D come from. Obviously Tolkien, right? the orcs, the hobbits, the elves, dwarves are all very much Tolkien, but keeping in mind Tolkien drew from, European folklore, right? He wasn't telling the stories. For example, Tolkien really very much disliked Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Oh yeah, I
because he
heard
did
about
not
that.
like that interpretation of the dwarves being these bumbling, goofy, strictly for comedic effect. He wanted the dwarves of the Scandinavian mythology, right? The Norse mythology and so forth. Those dwarves. And by the same token, not Tolkien, token. By the same token, the trolls in Dungeons and Dragons, just like in Tolkien, are the ones of Norwegian folklore, right? These giant earthy type creatures, very much like moving mountains or hills, that would kind of rampage around, eat your livestock, and the only way to stop them is sunlight. Sunlight would turn them to stone. You see that in The Hobbit, and you see it in Troll Hunter. Troll Hunter very much is a modern day, basically taking the trolls of folklore and saying as if they were alive today. And so you have these troll hunters going around with these UV lights that they, they track at night. They track down the trolls, flash these lights on them. They turn into stone. They collapse and they shatter. So yeah,
So like Ghostbusters. Sort of.
I suppose in that, yeah, you have these individuals using technology to fight, these supernatural creatures, but it's not a comedy in any way. It's a very serious film. In a way, maybe it's an exaggeration to refer to it as a Norwegian kaiju, but it's kind of like that. But definitely worth checking out. Obviously no actors that I knew, but good acting. I mean, it does have that verisimilitude that makes a found footage / mockumentary, it gives it that realism. It really pulls you into the story. You almost want to believe this was real. So that's Troll Hunter, and that's what leads me to one that I've never seen before, but I feel like I have to because it sounds like a spiritual, successor to Troll Hunter, and it's a movie called Troll, also Norwegian, from just 2 years ago. Deep in the Dovre Mountains, something gigantic wakes up after 1,000 years in captivity. The creature destroys everything in its path and quickly approaches Oslo. Definitely has that, just from that description, it sounds to me like a kaiju type film. So I have that on my list. I'm going to have to check that out. That really sounds like something I really want to see. So Troll Hunter and Troll, both from Norway. I don't know if there are other connections, like I don't know who the directors are on these or anything like that, but real quick, want to say hi to Zombie Box Reviews.
Zombie.
Yeah, great guy. He was on Thursday Things, wasn't he, Netta? Or you? Okay, yeah, I thought so. Definitely go check out his channel. He's another one of the movie gurus. Anton Yelchin was in Troll. I did not Yelchin. He was the kid that was in the JJ Star Trek as Chekhov, who unfortunately died very young,
right,
in a tragic accident.
He was also in Green Room.
Oh, okay, there you go. I've been warned off that series by many people. Let's see, who's he talking about? The RWBY series. When the original creator died, the studio had to get a new guy to continue the story after season 3, and it's a mixed bag of what the fuck. Oh, that is not what I'd call a resounding recommendation, let me tell you. But yeah, so those Troll movies, I definitely recommend Troll Hunter. I'll get back to you about Troll. I'll let you know if that's a good one or not. Yeah, his car rolled over him, and I think I heard that his family had a lawsuit going. Never followed up on it to see what happened with that. So that's very interesting. Let's see. And then the last one that I have on my list. This is one that's going to be hard to talk about because I really don't want to give away spoilers. In many ways, this is my favorite one from my list. It's a movie from Switzerland from 2010 called Senentucci. 3 lonely herdsmen, starved of female companionship, creates the girl of their dreams from a broom, some straw, and a few rags. The creation, Senentucci, lives and breathes to cook, clean, and look after the 3. Look after the 3.
Quote unquote.
Yeah. In the U.S., it's subtitled Curse of the Alps. So what is a Senentucci? Again, this is one of those things that's from folklore. Think of it as the best way to describe it would be it's a kind of golem, literally made out of straw, a scarecrow basically, brought to life. It's meant. I think I don't know what the translation on Senentucci is, but I've heard them referred to as a straw wife. Look,
what?
This is a weird piece of folklore. It sounds to me like a bunch of lonely people making a sex doll. That's what it sounds like.
What?
I want to go home to wash the dishes and take out the garbage and clean the bathroom.
But this movie is one of those. I mean, there's some major twists, a huge twist ending in this one. I'd say it's a better twist ending than The Sixth Sense. But like some of the best psychological horror films of recent history, you are going through this whole movie not really certain if the supernatural elements really are supernatural or if they're real.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, and I can't really elaborate on that anymore because it does get really close to spoilers. Guys, Senentucci 2010 from Switzerland is available right now. Well, at least in the continental United States. I don't know about outside the United States. On Tubi for free. So I would highly recommend checking it out. It's a bit adult. There's a good deal of nudity, and not
boobs and butts.
Yeah. Well, full frontal. I think for both.
Wow.
Involved.
So we get to see a
nothing attractive. No.
Oh man.
Maybe not to you.
No.
Some guys got cute butts.
These guys don't have.
Well, yeah, but
one is an old
backside.
fat guy. These guys are like kind of disgusting mountain men. So, I don't know. Maybe the younger guy a little bit.
Does that mean they got beards on their butts too?
Yeah.
This reminds me when
he has a beard in the front too. So
okay, I have drunk most of a bottle of wine, so yeah, I'm in my goofy stage.
So I may be having to get her to bed tonight.
This reminds me of when we first.
Maybe I'll treat her like a Senentucci tonight.
Anyway, Troy, this reminds me. Remember on Geeky Geezer when we first broke the story about the Lord of the Rings series about how there might be nudity in it and other things, and I think
because
I
they
sent
were
you
bringing in an intimacy coordinator.
intimacy coordinator, and I sent a my response to that to you, and I think an email it was, oh, full frontal on Gandalf, and you had like a throw up face or something. With that,
Yes. Yeah. Oh, did you hear? I don't know if I sent you any articles about this, but apparently they have an intimacy coordinator for the Acolyte.
What?
Yeah, I made a
It's
joke
Star
on.
Wars.
They
It's
were talking
at most. Come on.
I know they were talking about it on that Park Place.
Right,
Jonas J.
WW.
Campbell's channel,
Right.
and I sent him a super chat, and I said, Lucasfilm Limited bringing in a intimacy coordinator for the Acolyte. Sounds to me like they are trying to create brand confusion with the Star Wars adult parodies. Good luck with that. But no, it's I would not recommend watching Sen and Tucci with the kids, but it's one you should definitely watch.
I'm intrigued though. You get to make your own woman out of a broom, huh?
Yeah, but you gotta think of it more. There's some elements of Pinocchio here. There's definitely some questioning, like the movie AI. If you've created a woman,
Right.
is there consent? I mean, they don't focus on that, but you can't not think these things. Is she being abused? Yes, she's. By the way, that's the spoiler. She's being abused. There's no doubt about it. But is she a real person or is she not? And you gotta. No.
Why do I think if there was an American remake, it would be Nicole Arbor as this character? That would be fun.
Yes, kissing is intimate, but that is not what they bring in intimacy coordinators for. People that I know that are specifically in the industry said, nope, intimacy coordinators specifically mean sex scenes.
Is this going to involve a good morning guard?
I don't know. I would not be surprised if this didn't involve Jedi of less than obvious genders. Probably is what it's probably going to be. But anyway, yeah. So that is my list of movies. Real quick, let me run down for you in case you missed them. Girl with a Dragon Tattoo from 2009. Insomnia, yeah, obviously that gets Netter's seal of approval. Insomnia, 1997. That gets Age of Boomers seal of approval. Let the Right One In from 2008. That gets my seal of approval. Troll Hunter, absolute recommendation from 2010. Troll from 2022. Not to be confused with, 1980s American film called Trolls. And Sen and Tucci from 2010. Again, like I said, that one is available right now on Tubi. Definitely worth checking out. And those are our list of Scandinavian films. It really sounds to me like all the movies that come out of Scandinavia are horror and thriller films, but that also has to do with the way I watch films. I watch Troll Hunter, I watch Sen and Tucci, so Tubi starts recommending all these films to me, and I'm like, oh, they're all the same basic genre coming out of Scandinavia. Well, that's what Tubi thinks I want. I'm sure there are other Scandinavian films that it hasn't suggested because it thinks I just like horror and thriller. So but
I'm curious. Does do movies from Holland, Dutch movies count as Scandinavia, or is that a different thing?
Yeah, I guess so. Do you know any Dutch films?
The Vanishing comes to mind. Have you heard of The Vanishing? It was remade as an American movie as well.
I was going to say I know it as an American film. I didn't know it was a remake.
It was actually based on a Dutch film. Oddly enough, the same director of the Dutch version made the American version, which I thought was interesting.
So this is a film from 1998. I believe.
The Vanishing with the remake was from 93. When was the original made? It was in 1988.
1988, Netherlands. Yeah. This would qualify, absolutely.
It's another thriller. I don't want to spoil it for you though.
Well, let me read the synopsis because the IMDb does a good job of.
As long as you don't spoil the ending. Okay.
Rex and Saskia, a young couple in love, are on vacation. They stop at a bus service station, and Saskia is abducted.
Hold on. Hi, Mark.
Oh, Mark, good to see you. Awesome.
Okay,
Let me just finish up what I was saying. After 3 years and no sign of Saskia, Rex begins receiving letters from the abductor. So, yeah, it sounds like another thriller. Sounds very, very interesting.
Creepy, huh?
Yeah. The Vanishing. I will have to add that to my list of to watch. And Mark Malnikoff, who provided an article for this week's Geeky Geezers, will give you a thumbs up and a thank you when we get to that on Sunday.
Okay.
In fact, speaking of someone's talking about a Reptilicus movie. We have watched Reptilicus on Big Al Presents with a very special guest who might still be in the chat here, Evelyn Hampton.
And it was still better than Ouija Shark.
It was better than Ouija Shark, but yeah.
You know, Ouija Shark was a remake of an Icelandic film, from what I'd heard. I'm kidding.
You're a smartass. I like that.
Sorry.
But anyway, speaking of the upcoming week, tomorrow night, want to remind everyone what we're going to be watching on your channel tomorrow night, Netter.
We are going to be watching Deadpool just in time for Valentine's Day,
and just as it happens, just in time for this week's drop of the preview of or the teaser trailer for Deadpool 3. Deadpool and Wolverine, I think it's called.
Oh, yes, the trailer.
So that will be 9 Central, 10 Eastern on Netters Network. And then, let's see. Sunday, Sunday afternoon, I think that's 3 Central, like 4 Eastern, over on Deleted Scenes channel or Jedi Bill's channel, simulcasting, just kind of like we're doing here, getting all fancy. Western Cinema Presents, and I'm sure Deleted Scenes will let us know what film it is he's watching, and he will drop the link in the chat. And hello there, pop culture curator. Welcome. So good to see you.
Who will be a guest on my channel?
Who will be a guest on your channel? We're coming right up to that, and that is first thing on Sunday. Then 7 o'clock Central, 8 Eastern. Just stay right there on Deleted Scenes channel for Unscripted, where we will be talking about a whiny little See You Next Tuesday that used to appear in Star Trek.
Ooh!
Shut up, Wesley.
Exactly.
Is this about the? Is this about the?
Well, I'm guessing. You know how he does.
Did he go further on that since we talked?
I don't know. I tuned the bastard out, but Deleted Scenes. You know how he does. He gives you a thumbnail and he gives you a title, and it hints, and you kind of have to guess what it's about.
Jesse Guajardo said Reptilicus is a Danish movie.
I did not know Reptilicus. Well,
that's funny. Never mind then. I was making a joke, but I guess Reptilicus is
it's a Danish movie,
which is I think that constitutes a kaiju film. So yeah, I there you go. Now I kind of feel like I want to see Reptilicus versus Troll or something like that. But And oh yeah, take care, Disney Sheeper. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. So that is and then that brings us, of course, to Geeky Geezers at 8 Central, 9 Eastern. What will we be talking about there?
Well, a lot of it's going to be Trailer Palooza, because a lot of the Super Bowl movies had trailers. So we got
movies,
got a sequel
Some
to
look
Twister.
better than others.
We got a sequel to Twister. I never thought was going to happen. So there's that.
I never would have imagined a reason for one.
Look, man, it's this one is
the
Twister
Tornado's Revenge or something, right?
I don't know. It's like I don't know. Someone, I think, a girl has an invention that could destroy tornadoes. And that's, I don't know. I just know the lead actor in it. He was in Maverick. You still haven't seen Maverick yet, but there were, as I said, there were some of the younger characters were echoing the characters in the first one, and this guy actor was sort of echoing. He was like if Maverick was around now. He was almost like a young Maverick type, and I forget the actor's name, but he would make a great Hal Jordan Green Lantern if they were to cast him as Green Lantern. But yeah. Anyway, we're going to talk about that and who Disney is suing and who is suing Disney this week.
I think we're getting to the point where the list of who's not suing Disney might be shorter.
I'm not.
We should be. I would not be surprised if there won't be a class action eventually that we can get in.
We sold our stock and we got out.
Well, yeah. Hopefully it was picked up by Nelson Peltz.
The funny thing about this latest thing, when I brought you these things before, that's illegal, and there's going to be lawsuits, and now you were right. It's illegal. Now they're going to be lawsuits, and we're going to talk about that on Sunday.
Sir Torrance says we're getting a sequel to Twister, and we still haven't had gotten a Ouija Shark 3D. Interestingly enough, after having watched Ouija Shark, I kind of feel like it wouldn't be too difficult to retroactively make that 3D like they were going to do with Star Wars. Seriously, the special effects would lend themselves very well to 3D. It would work. And I have to agree with Mark. Defund Disney. Defund Disney. Yeah, Disney is pretty much doing that themselves. Walk away while it's closed. Absolutely. And that's going to be Geeky Geezers. What about, and then, of course, midnight on the East Coast, 11 Central. Back over to Deleted Scenes for The Other Side of Midnight. So that is the weekend. That brings us around to Tuesday. Tuesday over on Deleted Scenes. Join Deleted Scenes and all of us here on the panel for the next installment of Live from Sparkwood 21, the next episode of season 2 of Twin Peaks. We're entering a new phase of the storytelling here, as we have had the big reveal of who killed Laura Palmer. We will see the aftermath and start building the other storylines that kind of branch out from there. That will be Tuesday night, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern. Thursday, Netter, what's going on with Thursday things?
Thursday, I have a very special guest, pop culture curator.
He's here
who's also in the chat.
Yep. So glad that we're going to get a chance to chat with him. You can get the jump on that Thursday things by going ahead and subscribing to Pop Culture Curator right now.
That's right.
And
don't ask me to drop a link. I've had most of a bottle of wine. I'm incapable.
Yeah. We're going to count on our blue wrenches if they can manage it for us. And that brings us around to next week, Friday. I said it at the top of the chat, but not all of you are here, and that's fine. Where my guest will be James Hawthorne. We're going to be talking about getting in shape, getting healthy, diets. What fads have you heard are good for you and bad for you? And he'll try to bust some of those myths. Try to break down healthy habits into bite-sized, manageable things that you can do that aren't going to just completely upend your life. Yeah, I know it's a little bit of a departure from what we usually do, but I just feel like it's a great topic because we're now in our second month, going into our third month in the new year. I think most people that bother with New Year's resolutions usually have it around health and weight loss and stuff like that. And oftentimes I think we sabotage ourselves by not knowing where to start, trying to bite off more than we could chew, maybe pun intended. And I think we'll get an expert in here to kind of put us on the right track. But it'll still be fun. It'll still be last call. He's good people, and he's a lot of fun and great personality and sense of humor. So one of the things I pointed out to him, I said, keep in mind, my show is like, it's like a pub chat. It's like, okay, great. So I'll talk about, cocktails you can drink that won't completely destroy your diet and your goals and how to drink responsibly. I said, drink responsibly. Okay, let's not get crazy here, my friend.
So in other words, no alcohol. There's a lot of fruit.
No, probably not. Probably the other way around. Fruit has a lot of sugar in it. So he's probably gonna. Well, I'm guessing.
I don't mean fruit juice, which does have sugar in it. But I mean natural, regular fruit like apples, strawberries.
Yeah, maybe
blueberries. Maybe. You can make some interesting cocktails with those.
So
just add booze.
Yeah. We're losing Lady V because she's getting tired, but she's saying
I'm drunk, so it's like, what's your excuse?
Yeah, right. So take care, Lady V, and yeah, we're wrapping up here anyway. So let's movie night at the Regal on Monday for Deleted Scenes. Yeah, that mystery movie, right? We don't know what it is until after he sees it. So that'll be interesting. We'll have to
Late
see
Night with the Devil.
Yeah, I hope so. But
I don't know. It's probably not going to be.
I don't know if the timing is right for that, but there you go. It was too bad that Jacen couldn't join us. His link is below. If you want to subscribe to him, we will get him back maybe for a part 2 on Scandinavian cinema. See if he's got any other suggestions for us. But that's all I got for tonight. Aged Boomer, any last thoughts, any last words, anything that I did not cover that you think I should have?
No, like I said, we'll probably get more in depth in this maybe one day. But yeah, seek out movies in other countries, and you might be surprised what you'll find. And frankly, a well done thriller is as good as any big budget feature, as far as I'm concerned. If it grips you, and
good characters, good stories, trump all the special effects and big babooms, every single time.
Yes.
And I don't think most people even realize it until they see it, and then they go, "Wow, that was a good movie. There wasn't a single explosion." Just saying. But and just a follow up from a previous stream, Netter and I are still watching because it's continuing to run. We're caught up with the series. Marry My Husband from South Korea. And it's one of those kind of shows where literally throughout the week, Netter and I will talk about it, and we'll,
I started listening to a group that they mention because there's one episode.
Korean boy band.
Yeah, it's like there's one episode where they discover that they have a coincidence that had happened to both of them, because the female lead mentions a song called Dynamite. And she's like, I came up here because for some reason they always end up on the roof. I guess that's like a hangout spot for the company. And she's up there, and the lead male comes up to join her. And she's like, yeah, I was looking for Dynamite because I really wanted to listen to it, but I can't find it. And he goes, oh, I was like Spring Day. Well, I looked them up and started listening to music. Now, Dynamite, you can hear in English. It's actually a really great song. Spring Day is in Korean. It's also kind of catchy, but since I don't know Korean, I don't know the words.
The words, yeah.
But you can see the words in English, and I just pointed out to Troy how that song relates to the leading lady in the series. It's like, oh, I never really looked at the words before, Yeah, he's totally relating this song to the leading.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
And yeah, it's those kinds of elements. It's like, okay, yeah, it's not just. I remember a lot of CW shows would throw in a lot of, pop songs, and it's like it didn't relate to the show at all. It was just like they felt they had to play pop music in it. But if she had
South Korean pop music,
yeah, if she hadn't pointed that out to me, I wouldn't have caught that. But at one point we were talking about it, and I'm like, are we watching a South Korean soap opera?
Yes, we are.
She's like, yeah, I think we kind of are. And I'm like, I'm kind of hooked.
Like, way back in the day, I had caught a Japanese soap opera, but I never could remember when it was on. I would like catch it by accident. And then after a while, I couldn't find it anymore. It's like, I want to know what happens, because it was getting to a good point, or a good part. It was at a good part where there was like some real bad controversy coming on. Like the lead actress was, I guess, in Japan in this particular story, the son will live with the parents along with their wife, and the wife helps out around the house and cooks and cleans and does all this stuff. And it was getting to a point where she was going to walk out. It's like, I want to know what happens.
Well, and so I realized that the show started out with a sci-fi element because of time travel. Main character dies and comes back in time and gets a do-over, and this whole thing is about the do-over with her knowledge of the future, which is a great element, a great dimension to the story. But it's really all about the character interactions and the machinations and the power plays and the romances and the cheating. And I'm like, oh, this is a soap opera.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, I want this person to get together, and I want this person to get together, and those two need to die.
Yes, exactly. But we're very much afraid that other characters we really like might die,
or get hurt, or get sick.
So I'm gonna suggest it again. If you are an Amazon Prime subscriber, or if you have other means, Marry My Husband, going back to South Korea.
Yeah. So if you like time travel, romance, mystery, intrigue, this has got it all.
So that's all I got. Netter, you want to take us out?
I can do that.
Yes,
I think.
Hey, give it a try.
Yes, I will give it my, what is it, like old college try? Even though I never went to college.
You came to a couple of my classes.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I always start off with saying, make sure you please subscribe to everyone on the panel.
All those people up there.
I like how Troy's doing all the hand gestures for me. And please also make sure that you are subbed to everyone in the chat. And if you think you're subbed to people, please go back and double check, because YouTube sucks and likes to take away subs. I mean, I lost, something like 10 subs over the last couple of days. So it's like people had subbed to me, but now they're not there anymore. So I don't know if it's any of you all, but please go back and double check and make sure you're still subbed to me, because I'd appreciate that.
Yep.
And with that being said, we can talk amongst ourselves, and that's all well, good, and fun. But it is so much more fun when you guys are joining us in the chat and you're dropping comments, questions, trivia, being goofy, whatever it may be. And it doesn't feel like we're separated by miles or continents in some cases. It feels like we're all hanging out in the same room, enjoying each other's company and having a great time. And you guys, you're not just our friends. You are our family. And we appreciate you so very much. And we love you guys. I mean, it's so great seeing the same people here every week supporting us, being part of our group. And what's really nice too is when we have new person come in, you welcome them with open arms and just make them feel like they're part of the family as well. And I appreciate that so very much. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of our family. Said we love you. God bless you. And we will see you next time.
And just following up on what Netter was saying and what I was saying earlier in the stream, I love this community. I love seeing you guys chatting in the Martini Gallery there with each other. I'm kind of, half following your conversations as Jesse and Evelyn are talking about Japanese TV shows and anime and so forth. And I would encourage you, I'm about to shut the stream down, but that doesn't mean the conversation has to end. I have a MeWe group, which is linked below. You can continue the conversation there. You will also find a broadcast schedule or whatever you'd call it, a calendar of events, so to speak, for all of the shows that we talk about that we're all on, with links to the to where you can watch them. Kind of like back in our day, a TV guide, but a little bit better, a little bit more interactive. You can continue the conversation there, or there is a Discord. The Discord is also linked below, and I haven't been very active there, but we could absolutely make that a more hopping kind of place. So let's keep the conversation going in between streams. And there will probably be more streams in the near future, looking at some more film rewatches on Mondays, and that will be coming hopefully very, very soon. So that's all I got. Thanks so much for coming and spending your Friday night with us. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Take care, everyone, and we will catch you on the next one. Good night.
Bye.
Good night, ladies.
Good night, sir.
Hit it, sweetheart.